welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Digestif. How we doing? Tuesday morning. That is our new jam because we are energized in the mornings and we have most of our thoughts together, but you guys can be the judge of that as you listen to the next 45 minutes or so of us talking. I am Sam Mushman, comedian sommelier. As always, to my left, Robbie Sco. How are you?
Good. Great weekend. Loving it. How you doing, man?
Good. Can't complain. Enjoying. Shout out some Lucid coffee. Thank you for acquiring this morning.
Delicious. Yeah, I chugged mine immediately.
Fantastic. And with that being said, Lucid Coffee was, we're not just enjoying it now, but we brought some stand-up comedy to Somerville this past weekend at the coffee shop right on the heart of Main Street in Somerville. And it was fun. It was fun. Brought Craig down, pounding pavement before the show, getting that room packed. People seemed excited. A lot of different age ranges in the room. It was good. I feel like this town is hungry for some real stand-up. I love the idea, just the fact that this town is hungry for art. Yes. That's the one takeaway from my 8 to 9 months here now. Actually, almost a year at this point.
Coming up, yeah.
Down here. This town's hungry for art. They're hungry for collaboration, innovation, and they've done a great job with that. And the show was overall from start to finish, I think, solid. I can't really speak on it because I had a whirlwind of a night between my entire bar went down from a processing standpoint for 3 hours. And then I just decided to leave for 20 minutes to go do stand-up and then come back and address that same issue. So I had a long night, but overall, thank you for coming by to the show.
Oh, it's an amazing show.
With your, Yugoslavian sunflower.
Absolutely.
You guys were both in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a fun night at the bar, right? I spoke to you and her about some things about your relationship. We had some positive conversations. Overall, how was the night for Robbie Sco?
It was great. Yeah, it was solid. It was fun. Not that I didn't expect it at this point, but it's fun just walking back. And for Lucas, who had just left like 5 minutes before me, is already just like running around the bar, blowing like with the band, like taking leads and everything. I'm like, oh God, I should have expected that.
Yeah, he's officially a tenor guy.
He's a tenor guy now.
After his last solo, he's graduated. The tenor saxophone still looks ridiculous on him. It's 3/4 of his height, but it's a phenomenal instrument for his windpipes.
Exactly. Yeah, he figured out his saxophone needs, and then he's also figured out his other needs. He seems like dead set on finding a Korean wife. Okay. I think it was the most Korean night vintage that has ever had, and he was like sitting on the laps of Korean girls playing the sax, like running around to them.
That is the recipe for a man who will get divorced multiple times. I mean, I don't want to foreshadow, but that is the recipe for a man who is going to be at a bar in his early 60s, and he's just going to have substance to him, but he's going to have a little bit of pain behind those eyes. He's going to be at the end of the bar. He's still going to be drinking his Johnny Black neat like he's doing now. And, he's just going to have like the sax kind of tied around his back like a satchel, like ready to go at all times. But he's going to now be way more seasoned. And he's the kind of guy where, he'll just get back from a week of gigs. He just sits at the end of the bar and go, I thought I had it all figured out in my 20s. I thought it was just Korean wife. That was the pocket. Find one of those people that could help take care of me, and I thought I had it all made. And then what I didn't realize is that I need to find a person who has any kind of a similar personality towards mine, similar thoughts and feelings towards mine, similar anything, and that there's more to it than just being Korean, essentially. So he'll just be sitting there at the end of the bar, and then he'll, I don't know where his love life will go. We will see what will happen, but.
Oh, it was so fun too. He was like, I saw him like he was on this table, that table, like running around having a good time, and then he goes over to like the bar table where I'm at. It's like my girlfriend and her sister with the epic business plan, and like so he's going over playing, having a good time, and then he looks over at her and she goes to him. She's like gives him 2 fingers.
Your girlfriend or
sister? The sister
gave him 2 fingers.
The sister. He's like, fuck you.
She was not having it.
Yeah, she's not having it. just like joking around, and he's like, all right, that's fine. He runs over to the band. He's like, all right, let's end it.
And I do have to think about it. I wonder if the someone like the sister, right, and Lucas, right? If those personalities, whether they want to admit it or not, are a match, right? They're not a match right now. They still both might think that they're looking for everything opposite of the other one, right? But the idea of someone who just doesn't put up with any bullshit and someone who tends to just be open to putting up with bullshit and is very agreeable, very down to earth, right? Because, if Lucas finds somebody who is as equally agreeable as he is, they're just going to find themselves on the edge of a cliff one day, and they're going to go, all right, well, do you want to jump? I guess. Will I jump? Yeah, sure. And they'll just jump off together and commit suicide. That is what happens when you're in a society that could be crumbling at any moment, and you are way too agreeable, and your partner is equally agreeable, and no one's in there to snap their fingers and go, hey, wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Let's figure this out. We should be doing more of this or not be doing that as much, right? I imagine, because a lot of times love is found after the second, third divorce,
Right.
So, it could be a strong, opinionated woman like her and Lucas, right? Someone who looks nothing like what Lucas is currently considering his type. That might be love when he's in his late 30s, early 40s. He might find that later in life. And next thing you know, he has a ball gag in his mouth a couple times a week. But he's in a healthier place.
Exactly. That's fun. That being super agreeable kind of reminds me of one of Craig's bits where you just kind of go with it, and you just like kind of like,
yeah,
we'll meet at the pier. We'll fucking go crazy.
Yeah. Well, and he talks about how he was very agreeable early on in his career and how he had to kind of manage that as he goes. You know what I mean? So he has a number of crazy experiences about that, but that's the key. I think it's most relationships. One person has to be the one to take minimal shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also why your lovely lady is good for you, because she has yet to be, in my opinion, and I haven't admitted this to either one of you yet, she has yet to be really mad at you. She is not really upset with you, but she needs to come off like certain things are ticking her off so that she can set a standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
She right now is setting a standard, right? And that standard is, okay, here's a possible line. You haven't really crossed it yet, but I want you to know that if you do, I'm going to be putting you in check real hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're already kind of timid in certain areas that are the danger zone. She's established a danger zone. There's
boundaries.
Boundaries, right? What are certain danger zones? Entertaining the idea of when your ex is stranded in the forest with Wendy's. That's a danger zone, right? What could be another danger zone, right? Continuing to put the wrong name on tickets of another woman that you take her to places, right? That is another danger zone, right? And maybe there's a third and final danger zone of some sort, like the idea of, I don't know what it could be, but, not supporting her sister's radical business models enough. That might be a third danger zone, right? But she's establishing danger zones so that she can get the most out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you are in more consistently a positive place when you are around her, because you are like 90% of you is enjoying the relationship, but 10% of you is rightfully so to her guidance and her observance is avoiding her danger zones.
Exactly.
So you might be in her head doing a great job at that. I think she is yet to be truly mad at you. She's just establishing danger zones.
Yeah, exactly. And she surprised me with some nice, like I guess it was like a boundary-ish type setup, but in the morning we were hanging out and she was like, oh yeah, I don't know, I just want to make sure we don't hang out too much. I was like, oh, that's good, because I don't want she said something like, I don't want you to get sick of me. I want it to be like a healthy thing, and I don't want you to like feel like I'm taking over everything. So I think that was a really considerate thing to just be upfront about wanting to keep it healthy.
I agree with that, and I think she's a smart girl with that. She's also, if she's establishing danger zones, she's also thinking, maybe, what are your danger zones? Which yours at this point, anything she's observed from you, she's like, they must be completely ridiculous danger zones to get you to not be down to go with the flow, right? It would take a lot to get you to not do that, but she's trying to, it's like Battleship, she's like trying to plot, play her cards, see if there's any out there, and if she hits a battleship, she doesn't want to sink it, so I think she's handling that fine. I think Saturday night was fun. This weekend was fun.
Love the show.
And this will be this relationship with this coffee shop. I think will be a great place to get more of myself and Craig, like our friend circle. That because the one great thing about my wife is good friends with like my core of like 4 to 5 comedians that I've been friends with for a little bit now and have worked with a decent amount. Where it's not just about comedy, and that's the thing that we all talk about as comedians. We all pretend like we're friends when we run into each other at a club and stuff, but we don't know how to be friends. Like, I'm a very horrible friend. I've already been a bad friend to you, and you don't even realize I'm doing it. I consider you a great friend. I am a bad friend to all my friends, right? And it's that nature of like, it's not about, we don't understand how to prioritize things that don't help us in comedy. We don't know how to, and maybe rightfully so. Maybe you struggle with that when it comes to music, right? You
definitely
probably do, right? So a lot of it, we always talk to each other about the idea of, can we actually hang out where we're not performing first or after? Because whenever we hang out, like another close friend in comedy, it's usually because, hey, I'm on this show tonight. Hey, you're on this show tonight. Let's do that first, because that always comes first. And then let's go to a diner, or then let's go back to my house, or then let's do something, right? And it's so like not planned, and it's so at the mercy of our comedy schedule. But like the common thing me and Craig have been talking about, me and a couple of my other friends have been talking about in stand-up is like, let's plan a day where we're just hanging out. And maybe we don't have a gig, right? Maybe we can just be friends, truly go out like friends, right? So Gina has been a great support system in that, because she's removed from stand-up. So she keeps these relationships with my comedy friends better than me. And she's always like, hey, come down to the apartment for the weekend. Let's hang out. So now with Craig bringing the show down here and us starting to do some New York City style stand-up here in Somerville, I think we can maybe get more of our friends to come down here for the weekend, do the show here, and start to get some other guests that aren't hyper local. As much as that's important for the brand, we could switch that up a little bit.
Exactly. And I feel like for comedians, that's harder to hang out and not like do a set, because if you end up somewhere and there's a mic, you just hop on stage. But with like for me, if I show up with my friend somewhere and like there's a nice band playing, but there's no keyboard, I'm not gonna hop up. There's no equipment for me. But like Lucas has the way of like wherever we go, he'll just like have the sax on his back, like ready to go, right, ready to hop up.
Yeah.
So you guys have to either like go somewhere where there's not a stage, or like resist, like, no, we're not gonna go up.
No, exactly. It is that case where if we go by to support a comedy show, a lot of times all it takes is one person to cancel, and it's like, hey, do you want to run 10 minutes? And now it's like you're back in comedy mode, But I am finally re-energizing from the weekend. I still do not have a fully staffed kitchen at my establishment. I am looking for people. Have not had too much luck yet. I'm hopefully going to have my team back in a few weeks. But I've been on Saturday, I went from managing the bar to then doing dishes in the bar for about a good hour. That's a lower back workout when you're 6'6". Did about like 200 dishes, and then the credit card processors went down. Every single restaurant that uses Shift 4 credit card processors in the entire Eastern Hemisphere on Saturday, the 21st, was down for 3.5 hours. So we were taking cash, Venmo, fucking taking pictures of cards with the pictures of the check. Had to figure them out later. We ended up not missing any payments, thank God. But had that going on. Then I ran over, did the comedy show. Couldn't even watch Craig's set. I wanted to watch it the first 10 minutes, but I knew I was already on borrowed time because my establishment currently couldn't process credit cards. I was waiting for the help desk to call me back. I leave the comedy show, come back, time that perfectly. They finally call me back, let me know that it's not just me. It's every single bar in the Northern Hemisphere, pretty much, at Shift 4 was out because of the weather. So at that point, I said, all right, there's nothing I can do. We figured out, we started taking Venmo payments and cash and all this other horse shit. And then I went back into the kitchen, did another 300 dishes so my current chef wouldn't want to kill herself. And that was the night. That was my night, left with pit stains, food all over my shirt, and then threw the blazer on and called it a fucking day. I need help. But, that's the thing, man. I feel both ways about this stimulus during the pandemic. I was furloughed like a lot of people right at the beginning of COVID. And now it's the constant debate of how long should the stimulus last. I mean, if you still think that our economy isn't ready to be stimulated, isn't ready to reopen, show me the data, because I'm counting down the days for the stimulus to give out. Because, I mean, there are literally people coming by establishments saying, I am just here to let my unemployment person know that I'm looking for a job. Like, I'm not going to take this job. I am here to let you know, or so I can check in with unemployment and let them know that I went to an interview. That is the state of affairs we've been in this last month. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's tough, man, because like I had mentioned, there's just such a different scene for me, like the way I make money as a musician. There's just no type of vacation pay, no type of sick days or anything. I'm always like working for it. So it's just hard to even consider the idea of waking up and cashing a check. And it'll be wild because I could imagine getting used to that, but it's definitely tough when you're trying to keep a society functioning.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's just like, and every single establishment you go down the street and there's now hiring signs, and it's like, I'm not offering a single job that is at minimum wage. There's nobody making your minimum. Everybody's making a nice little bump above minimum wage, and it's like, still, it's easier to sit at home. It's the idea of just hanging out and doing the bare minimum and waiting for the absolute last minute for people to resume. I think that is why the manager at the lovely TGI Fridays was so concerned about your experience this past weekend. You told me that, you guys had a horrific service experience, and then what happened? A person came over to ensure that it was a great experience. Is that what you were telling me?
Exactly. Yeah. At the very end. So like we're there. We were kind of looking for a place, and like around here, nothing's really open that late.
Yeah.
So there's minimal options if you're trying to go past 11 midnight. And so we headed over to Fridays, and it's one of those things where each little experience was a push and pull. Like, hey, can we get some waters? 15 minutes. Yeah, can we get some drinks? 15 minutes. All right, can we put in our food? Food took like 70 minutes, and like we had to like tell him to like go get it, to like bring it over. And then it was one of those things where like I feel like they're understaffed. They obviously, like we were just talking about. Like the bartender was also the server, so like he would just leave like checks and leave things for us like on the bar. We'd have to like get up and go grab it and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things where it was tough. And then at the very end, the only time the manager came over was just to say, "Oh yeah, how was everything?" Like not to solve any problems in the intermediary. Just to say, "Yeah, everything good, everything fine."
It would be hilarious if they start to, as the economy opens up, they incorporate that in the lowest levels of food and beverage. They hire someone that acts like a floor manager at like a corporate steakhouse to come over to assume that you just had a magnificent experience. Who just wants to check in that it was as magnificent as it should have been. You're at like Dollar Pizza on West 4th Street. You have to go always. Whenever I went to the West 4th Dollar Pizza, I'd have to not show my cash too soon, because there was 3 homeless people in the Dollar Pizza, and they felt like they could that was where they would go for free pizza. And the business model is they would just stand there and they would harass the guests for because it's $1 a slice. They would harass the guests for a long enough time to when the business owner would need to make an investment in them and say, if I give you a slice, I need you to fuck all the way off and walk away, right? Because I'm running a business, right? Yeah. So it's part of the overhead. It's part of the investment for a Dollar Pizza manager to give, a few homeless people free pizza as a way to get them moving, right? Because then they will start the bottleneck in the Dollar Pizza. And imagine walking into a Dollar Pizza. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. The only thing you want is a solid slice of Dollar Pizza from New York City. It's not horrible pizza by any means, and you just want to get it, but you see a bottleneck of raging homeless people who all also feel they want a Dollar Pizza, but they cannot compensate you for it, right? So the idea of that business model, right? You have to funnel through the homeless people. You have to tell them you don't have any cash, and last minute give your $1, take your piece outside, sit in in the West 4th Street Park, have a couple pigeons shit on your pizza, have another homeless guy that goes, ladies and gentlemen, and listen to that act, right? And then last but not least, a guy comes out in a blazer from the Teller Pizza and just goes by your shared table and asks you how everything was this evening. Like, that's not that far off from doing it on Fridays. That's the next step of that. That would be hilarious. That would be because we're also the restaurant industry is very much moving in a direction of kind of this minimalist farm to table type of vibe. There are going to be more places of like, it's very do it yourself. You walk in, they tell you as you walk into like a new concept, everything's either vegan or everything's, grown at this local orchard down the street. And then there's a tablet that hits you. You got to order your own shit, do your own thing, pick your own food up, pick your own table.
So it'd be funny if they had it at like even just like random corporations too, just like in between ordering an iced coffee at Dunkin' Donuts and like receiving it. It's like someone comes up to you like, hey, how was your order experience? They take care of you. All right.
Hey, how's everything going thus far? We just want to know. We don't want to know how it's going to end because you're not getting that iced coffee for a good 15, 20. But thus far, have things been good? What am I commenting on? What the ordering process, the ambiance, it smells like stale bread. I get it. You guys have bagels. I mean, what do you want me? Well, good. We just want to know thus far, and then that person just seeps into the darkness before anything real happens. No, and then, one of which Dunkin' Donuts will never carry simple syrup. They just will not do it.
Refuse. Hard refuse. And that guy goes to the next store down the street.
It could be that's how you stimulate the economy. If you hire a guy at every single food and beverage outlet to check on your experience, that's how you stimulate the economy. That the amount of job creation that would lead to would be second to none. But yeah, I am a little sore from the weekend. It was a long one, but I mean, at the end of the day, that is the restaurant industry. That's the entertainment industry. It comes with the territory. What comes with the territory as well is I talked about paddleboarding on the last episode, and your version of your paddleboard is a longboard, right? And you have started to be that guy that just kind of shows up when someone's just trying to build a road. And you've taken upon yourself to say, this is my new little ambiance to do my longboarding. Is that what you've been doing?
My new stomping grounds. Yeah. So one of the first dates with my girlfriend, we went to like Asbury Park and like stumbled across a longboard shop, picked up a couple, and it was kind of funny, like the experience of trying on longboards. We just like kept going back and forth in the store to try out all the different longboards.
Is it like dogs where everyone's dog kind of looks like them? Does your longboard look like you?
Little bit.
Did the guy that was fitting you for a longboard, he looked at you and said, you don't need this board super wide. You could have the literal definition of a longboard is probably the board that fits you.
Yep. And then she has this smaller one that has like light up wheels.
Oh, that's cute. Yes. That's cute. That's the beauty of Eastern European women. They like to wear nice, like bright, fancy colors, things that make them look innocent. But then as soon as you understand that their DNA and the stuff that they believe in or more importantly don't believe in, that's when, you start to realize you might eventually be in a hostile type of situation. Yes. I still think she has it in her. I think it's in there for her just to
unleash,
just horrifyingly kill you one night. But I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I'm just going to say it's in her, meaning like generations before her, right? Generations ago in Yugoslavia, right? It was like a bunch of, you see a bunch of women wearing all pink or like a perfect little ballerina dress, walking around down Main Street, going shopping, this and that. And then next thing you know, they go back up into their apartment and there's just a hungry man caged. And they'll just sit there, they'll have lunch, they'll have a cup of tea and crumpets, and that man doesn't have enough energy to scream anymore. That's very much, I think, how the hostile movies were written. They were written based off that type of culture because why were they all based in Eastern Europe? There's a reason for that. There's a reason something happened, but
that's similar to where the business model came from.
Similar to where that business model came. So you and her both got fitted for longboards together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So do you guys do it together? Do you guys go at the same time?
We do. Hunt for some paved roads. They're actually building new apartment buildings over here. So that's like a good like teaching ground. Like I brought her and Lucas over there, and like taught them how to ride. We're kind of going back and forth.
Nice.
Increasing the speed, gradually increasing the amount of downhill.
I imagine Lucas needs Mariana's board, not yours. Or did he ride your board?
He loves mine. He loves mine. The more surface area makes it a little easier to kind of hold on to.
Yeah.
As opposed to my skinny, as opposed to like a tiny little thing. But I actually realized what gets me mad. Like I get really mad sometimes, and like I usually don't. So.
I have yet to know a single thing that does. So this is groundbreaking.
Yes.
For the first time on the Digestif, we're gonna find out something that makes Robbie Sco not perturbed, not tired or unmotivated. Makes him angry.
Yeah, and it's pretty unreasonable, maybe, but like I live on a pretty busy street, and I used to always park out front, and just getting into my car, like loading gear into my car, keyboards, whatever it may be. There's just like so many cars that go by, and there's not much of a shoulder, and it's right there, and I just go in, and for whatever reason, there's the amount of time doing it, this and that. I just get such like road rage, even just loading in my car, like because I have to like wait to open my door, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait, fucking open it, just fucking hit me, fucking kill me now, it's fine, I've had an all right life, and then I just like get out, and I'm just like, I'm so mad at the cars like about to hit me because I'm just like tired of waiting for the cars to drive by. But luckily, a few months ago, I had like a big hit and run, like a car slammed into my car, like a big dent, and fucked up my gas tank, and left. And, at first I was upset about that, but it kind of was a great thing because I was like on my way to get hit by a car because I was getting so reckless. I would just throw keyboards in the car. I would just like walk in front of trucks and just like, fuck you, you're gonna hit me. So this is part of the reason why I look for like these paved streets and everything because I can't like go skateboard out here because it's like this dangerous. People drive like 50 on this road versus going by like this nice freshly paved road where I can just like longboard in peace.
Yeah. So what gets you the most enraged is when the entire town has shitty roads, and when they finally invest in repaving the roads for all the new pedestrians that live in the town, what makes you enraged is that they don't cater to your ability to skateboard on them first.
No, I guess the enraging bit is just how fast people go on this road. But yeah, they need me to. There's no reason I should get so mad, but I feel like they're all out to get me.
You have the right to be mad about something. Everyone has the right to be mad about things. I mean, what you're choosing to be mad about, I might not agree, but I respect the fact that you're mad about something because there's plenty of things that you go with the flow on. So this is a perfectly fine thing for you to be mad about. There's a lot of other horse shit you put up with that maybe you haven't gotten as mad about. The fact that, you play with a band that just goes on random solos all the time and you have 6 pianos and you're supposed to go with the flow. You're supposed to figure out that tune last minute, You never get mad. You're very easy to work with. You're very agreeable. But when it comes to your skateboarding, don't fucking play.
Exactly.
You should be able to skateboard the roads first before any cars are allowed on.
Yeah.
That should be a thing in town. It's like
ribbon cutting ceremony.
As one of the local musicians, if Robbie Sco hasn't ridden the road yet for at least a few hours, you can't drive on it. Yeah. Because he needs to break down, and also because the fact that you are the only pianist in town who's casually a chemical engineer, you will engineer, be able to come up with an overall feedback business plan for how the road is. And in order for the mayor to approve cars on the road, they need to get that plan from you.
Christen it and get that stamp of approval.
That could be a great way for you to bring back your degree so your mom isn't as cripplingly depressed you're not doing anything with it, right? Maybe it's not chemical engineering. What is it called?
Civil. Yeah.
Civil. And I always assume that if you're like an electrical or a chemical engineer and you're just the real bottom of the barrel, or you just don't give a shit, and you're like that washed up chemical engineer. You're a washed up chemical engineer. You're a chemical engineer who didn't have the same passion. You worked on an absurd NASA project. You're like, hey, this was fun, but I'm out. And you left that, and now you're doing a bunch of other very intellectual things in your life, but you casually have this knowledge. That is the perfect recipe for someone to just step into being the top 10% of civil engineers. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know how civil engineering works, never went to school for it, but I'll tell you, sometimes I'll just drive through a town and I'll think of the civil engineer that built this concept must have been on crack. The fact that some of the roadways, how they are built, the thought process behind how to navigate through certain towns, it's like, I mean, how many civil engineers are just bought and owned?
Built by hungover lax bros.
Built by either that or built by the same, the same fucking Bugatti family in town that, has been mobbed up for years. And, Vinny got his civil engineering degree back in the 70s. However he went about doing that is to be seen. Yeah, and now they get all the civil engineering business, so they built roads like retards. You could walk into the civil engineering field and just crush it. So, that maybe there's a role for you in the town of Somerville where, you have to employ our pianist longboarder, Robbie Sco, who also is the acting town civil engineer, to double check the roads once they're done with his longboard. I love that just being an official policy.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, there's a ribbon cutting ceremony. You weigh the ridges of the road. You measure the angles, make sure everything's safe. And then you just have a quote. You just have the same thing. You're like, well, if my longboard can handle it, so can the town.
Oh, everyone claps.
Everyone claps.
Oh, that'd be great. Because there's like a diverse amount of income streams. They would love to sneak longboarding into one of my income streams somehow.
Yeah. They're like, where's our town civil engineer? Oh, there he goes. He just rides by. That skinny white man on the longboard? Yeah, that's our civil engineer. He rides the roads, and he checks the roads, and he gives us reports.
His wheels have sensors.
Do you have an example of one of his reports? Yeah, well, he did this one on Canva. Look at this. This is one of his reports. You see there, this is a pie chart. This doesn't make any sense. He has pie charts, he has flow charts, This is his music schedule next week. Now, that's part of it, but you see, it's all intertwined because if he is able to work a heavier music schedule, that means he believes in the roads. That means he trusts all the roads. Just take it for what like that would be the perfect do-nothing job for you. You just sit on a salary, some town salary. How many people that work for a town don't do anything? Like this isn't that far-fetched what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Robbie, we need your report on 2nd Ave. Do you have it yet? Yeah, I'm gonna tweet it at you in about an hour. I'm gonna tweet the attachment. Do you accept email? Does he have an email? No, he doesn't use email. He just Instagram DMs and he tweets about it, and then you have to check his TikTok to let you know if he's in a good or bad mood that day. Because if he's not in the right mood, he won't do the report. He's phenomenal.
Sounds like a fun gig.
You and your lady would be the perfect, political couple in town. Because you guys are both thin. Like, the last thing you want if you're going to hold any sort of a township or public office is you don't want to be just like a dumpy, wheezing, piece of shit, right? Like, nobody wants to get behind that. The idea that you and your girlfriend collectively are roughly 0.5% body fat is something that people can get behind as far as structure. I look at you two and I say there's structure. If you told me you were now the town civil engineering department that gauges our civil engineering roadways on your longboards together, one of them lights up, one of them doesn't, I would get behind that because I'm like, these are two thin people that have their shit together. Oh my God. That is sellable. You understand? Like that's sellable. Successful people want to get behind thin people.
That would generate some nice video content for the town.
Yeah. That's why everybody on Fox News is rail thin and all has plastic surgery, because especially in more of a Republican part of the state, Republicans can get behind that. That gives off structure. It gives off strength. It gives off affirmation, decision making. I mean, everyone knows that there's a couple backhand deals going on. There's a couple offshore counts. Everyone assumes that, but your body structure, you and her both, give off a sense of security, right? Mm-hmm. That's why the plus size movement's a liberal movement. I love people that, can rock out with a few extra LBs and make it look good. But it's a very liberal movement. It's the idea of people that are unsure about themselves want to get behind other people that they think should be unsure of themselves, but they're not. So they give the unsure people confidence, right?
Boost them up.
People that are sure about themselves or they are seeking a surety in their town or their public office want someone rail thin.
They can What does it do? What does it like give a hint of the work ethic or something like that?
Yeah, it gives a hint of the lifestyle. It gives a hint that there's one of my college basketball coaches had a preach. He would always say, or not a preach, a slogan called "No gaps." Whatever we're doing, no gaps. He would always yell at me every drill I'm doing, this and that on the basketball court. He would just yell at me and go, "Sam, details, no gaps. Details, no gaps." And at first, that insulted my intelligence a little bit because I said, it really should be no quarries, because a quarry is more of a natural gap that is created in our environment. I mean, a gap is a very vague term, but and also I would love for you to explain more when you just say details, like as if I'm autistic and I'm supposed to take one word and put two and two together. But he would say those two things, and when people see a fit couple that's also attractive, that stands up straight, doesn't have any slouching, puts their shoulder blades back, and just seems like they have it all together, that comes off as no gaps. No gaps in the lifestyle, and that there is details going on. Everything you do, there's some sort of details.
It's kind of how I fill my days too, just with no gaps. I'll have a 15-minute break in students, and I'll edit a quick video or learn a song for this band. Then I'm on my way to the next gig. I'm filling that time with learning other songs or something like that. So it's always just trying to fill each little 5-minute increment with. So I'll be walking around tripping over myself trying to chart out a new song or something.
You have to literally campaign on that. If anyone questions why is this the civil engineer, you go, well, let me give you a breakdown of my day. There's no gaps. And then you show a pie chart. The pie chart's full of what's going on that day. What are you doing today? Going out to lunch? A little bougie lunch, a little champagne lunch, couple hours? That's a gap. What'd you do this morning? When did you get in the office? 11? That's a gap.
It's a gap.
What are you doing tonight? Going to Wolfgang's, getting yourself a porterhouse? It's another gap. I'm either training musicians, or I'm playing 6 keyboards, or I'm riding my longboard around checking the roads. I am in no gaps. It's sellable.
Yeah, last time I went to this Mexican restaurant, and I talked to the staff. I'm like, hey, I brought a little keyboard with me. Is it all right? I just want this table here by the window. I'll play my keyboard. I'll learn some songs. I'll generate video content in between meals. It's all right. He's like, yeah, it's fine.
So you just asked if you could just play for free and just go in there?
Yeah, well, it wasn't super loud. They could hear me. I had this little battery-powered keyboard so I can go play in the desert or in the car.
Working on stuff for another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's nice. Just had it in there. I had my chips and salsa here, my keyboard over here.
Nice.
Take a bite, continue working.
No. And that looks and that gives strength. That comes off as strength. When once people know you as this role to the community, when you come in to play your keyboard in silence and eat your chips and salsa, people that own that restaurant go, listen, he's working on something very important. Just leave him, give him the corner booth, and just leave him because he's working on something for the betterment of this town. That could be and then at that point you can do whatever the hell you want, man. Now you got multiple incomes, multiple revenue streams
for the greater good.
Yeah, you should just let Mariana be the face of it. Let her, because there's something about, she has the perfect Eastern European accent. So when she says things, it sounds more worldly. You want to let her make the points, her to say, we are here to check our civil roadmap for everyone. And everyone goes, oh my God. Yeah. Thank God. Finally, someone that knows, someone that gets it. And she's not saying anything,
Good for the brand.
That's the point of what we're saying today. Tough act to follow. Robbie's a tough act to follow, no matter what he ends up doing with his life. As always, this has been the Digestif. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on all social media platforms at @the_Digestif. Follow the show, subscribe to the show, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, whatever works. I don't think we're on SoundCloud. I misspoke on that one. But we are.
If you want, I can make it happen.
We don't have to be on that. Why would I spiel that, right? We're on all the other important platforms. It's going to be fine. Feel free to follow the Instagram page for video clips of the show. As always, you can follow me on Instagram, Sam Mushman at Vino Comic, Vino_comic. Robbie Sco, where can they follow you, hear about you, and learn about you?
Instagram, Robbie Sco, as well as YouTube, Robbie Sco. And I recently started Robbie Sco 2, but we're not going to talk about that yet. It's still a little private.
Okay. Well, this is what happens when you start your career off as a chemical engineer and you go into being a musician and you start to have regrets. You start to look back at what could have been, and then you think to yourself, well, Robbie Sco is doing this. But what if Robbie Sco 2 came along and was able to pick up all the pieces? We will learn more about Robbie Sco 2 very shortly. Until then, take care.
Cheers.